Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Sherman from the Strategic ISV BD organization, and I'm excited to present today our ICT-in-a-Box solution that we've co-developed with Salesforce to target specifically telcos who are investing in managed solution offerings for their B2B and or SMB customers. This is a fast-growing market, currently $500 billion in opportunity across the globe, and fast-growing, expected to be as high as $1 trillion by 2023 or in the next 7 years, which is going to be amazing. So we're here today to present the solution and what we're solving for specifically for these telco companies. Many customers and telcos want to get into this business, but they recognize the lift it really entails up front. In order to offer managed services to their customers in B2B, they have to create sales teams. They may need to create technology to be able to deliver the solutions. And at a pretty low margin business, this is oftentimes a big challenge. They also then face the manual processes involved to be able to deliver these services, provision the services through AWS, and then ultimately to support these behind the scenes, which requires a lot of resource and investment. So that's what we're really looking to solve for with this ICT solution, and that we can bring the power of both Salesforce and AWS together, the agentic capabilities to drive an agent-led end-to-end quote-to-cash process, whereby we're taking all of that manual process out and ensuring that we're delivering high-quality managed services that can then be supported with very little human interaction or human in the loop, but also the ability to have human in the loop as part of the agentic experience. So to explain the architecture of the solution and how it's all going to come together, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Amanveer Singh.
Thank you, Nancy. Hello, everyone. My name is Amanveer Singh. I'm a Principal Solution Architect at AWS. So let's see how this whole solution comes together. So the customer starts the journey by customer buying the bundled ICT package from a Salesforce-enabled self-serve portal. Once the package is bought, the whole ICT end-to-end workflow kicks off, which is actually an agentic workflow powered by Salesforce, Agentforce, as well as Amazon Bedrock. And it creates a multi-tenanted environment under CSP's master AWS organization. Now, just looking a little bit further at the agents which are covered as part of this demo. So relating to the previous slide, you will see here that Salesforce Agentforce orchestrates multiple agents which are on AWS side. When a B2B customer logs in, the first agent creates the lead, and when the lead is created, the whole lead to contract management happens within the Salesforce, where we are creating a personalized offer. You will see it in the demo based on what customer requirements are provided to us, and those requirements are more in a human-like format, and those are translated into AWS resources and AWS services by the onboarding agent. And the onboarding agent will also create the CloudFormation template, which is infrastructure as a code, on the fly based on the requirements given. So now you don't have to manage those templates. They are all created on the fly, and then the whole deployment gets triggered from there, and the end-to-end deployment of AWS resources is completed. And as you can see, in one click, the B2B customer gets started with a lead, and they have their AWS environment ready. Now, one more addition that you will see in the demo is the DevOps. Once the customer is up and running, and if they face any issues in their environment, let's say there is any latency or anything, the DevOps agent, which AWS launched in reInvent 2025, it actually automates the whole end-to-end operation cycle, which will do the root cause analysis, it will create the mitigation plan, and it will also do the resolution of whatever the root cause was. And this DevOps agent is also integrated with Salesforce. When a customer creates a case in Salesforce, you will see that the case will trigger the DevOps agent, and then when the DevOps agent completes the job, it will update the Salesforce case back so that customer has full visibility into it. So with that, we'll jump into the demo. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Gaurav Acharya, for the detailed demo of this solution we talked about. Thank you very much.
Hi all, my name is Gaurav Acharya. I'm a Principal Solution Architect with AWS. And here we're going to look at the solution that's developed using Salesforce and AWS Amazon Bedrock on how B2B customers can be onboarded onto the platform. So in the first demo, as you can see, the ICT-in-a-Box solution offering is available for B2B customers to purchase from the CSP portal. Here, CSP portals have set up some packages already based on what guardrails they want to set up. And in this case, QuadStar a B2B customer would go ahead and purchase a product from the ICT-in-a-Box solution on the B2B portal. And so QuadStar logs in. Here, Jordan Chen, who is an account admin, can see the recent purchases, support tickets, billing, and other information. And QuadStar can also purchase ICT-in-a-Box solution offering available to them. So they decide to design it with Agentforce, and then ask Agentforce to set up a new ICT service. And so now at this point, coding agent will ask some question to understand QuadStar's requirement a little bit better, what kind of application they want to deploy, where they want to host the application, what kind of security and the availability requirements customer has. And so in this case, application has to be in private network and highly available. And then also it has some storage requirement both for the object store as well as the transaction data, 30 GB of files and video data and 20 GB of transaction data in this case. And last but not the least is the application infrastructure must require minimum operation and cost overhead and should also support highly CPU intensive operations. So at this point, coding agent is going to go back and look at the product catalog sitting inside the Salesforce Comms Cloud to come back with a recommended option. And it is providing premium managed cloud migration to AWS as a recommended option for QuadStar based on the requirement shared. And also provides justifications such as this product will provide the minimum operation overhead, will also support the private connectivity, that was one of the requirements, and the storage at scale for both the object store as well as the transaction data. Provides the inclusion and the monthly cost. As an alternative option, also offers standard lift and shift, and Jordan decides to go with the premium option. Now, coding agent is creating a code in Salesforce Comms Cloud and then coming back with a proposal based on the solution selected. So here you can see the code summary with the reference number, also the inclusion and line item level information, plus the pricing, monthly as well as the one-time pricing. And so Jordan approves the code, which kicks off an order creation workflow and then hands it off to onboarding agent, which is an AWS agent running inside Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. And so here you can see the order is submitted successfully, the order number and additional information. Plus, we also see two links here, one to track the order status details, and the second link is to get more insight into the AWS environment that's actually provisioning on the QuadStar's requirement here. And so based on the order status tracking, this order is already submitted to onboarding agent. And so let's look at what's happening behind the scene in AWS environment. The first agent, which is the onboarding agent, based on the requirement that QuadStar shared inside the Agentforce environment, now the onboarding agent has come back with the architecture, mapping those business requirements into technical requirements, and then designing an architecture grounded in the AWS best practices. And so here, for example, auto-scaling group to make sure the application is highly available, VPC for private network connectivity, and multi-tier architecture to support the 3-tier web application, as well as the database across multi-AZ for high availability and a managed relation database for 20 GB of transaction data to support the minimum operation overhead. So as you can see, this is an architecture based on those business requirements that agent has come back with. It has also created a CloudFormation template, which is infrastructure as a code, to auto-provision the resources for B2B customer in CSP's AWS account. It went ahead and validated the CFN and then handed it over to deployment agent, which is another AWS agent running inside Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, to auto-provision the resources in the AWS account. So at this point, deployment agent has kicked off the provisioning, which depending on the architecture and the resources involved, it takes a few minutes. And once the deployment is complete, customer gets an email back based on the email on file in Comms Cloud to get status on the deployment. And here we'll look at a sample email to see what that looks like. And so here in this email, a customer gets the deployment status, the stack was successfully created, as well as the resources and some of the highlights from the deployment. And so now let's look at the second demo, which is more of a day 2 scenario where once the customer is onboarded into the AWS environment, after a few days, let's say the customer has some issue with their application, how do we identify that experience as well? And that's the demo number 2. So here in this case, again, starting with the Salesforce Service Cloud, where customer goes and creates the service ticket. In this case, customer reported an issue of an outage of 10 minutes at a certain time, and based on that, Service Cloud kicked off an investigation through AWS DevOps agent, which is a frontier agent that was announced in the recent reInvent. And so behind the scene, AWS DevOps agent is going to go ahead and investigate the AWS account where B2B customers' workload is running and comes back with an investigation. So this is a Service Cloud view of that same experience or architecture we just walked through, where customer reports the issue in description, and then the entire root cause analysis as well as the contributing factors are all fed back to the Service Cloud. And we'll briefly look at the AWS DevOps agent view as well for additional insight into how agent went ahead and investigated the issue. And so here it's the AWS DevOps agent view, where for the same issue, behind the scene, AWS DevOps agent came up with a plan on how to investigate it and then went ahead and did the root cause analysis. Not only that, also came back with a mitigation plan on how to avoid it in the future. All right, so based on the experience that we saw, this package ICT-in-a-Box solution, as you can see, how it can significantly reduce the sales cycles all the way from quoting to deployment to post-deployment support, significantly improves the productivity gain, as well as allows CSPs to increase their revenue by providing this agentic experience. Thank you.